Good morning or afternoon.
Whenever you're watching this.
Whatever time of day it is.
I'm Cindy.
And I'm Paige.
And this is Mom's the Word, where Mom knows best.
Or at least she is trying her best.
That's right. That's right. I hear a lot of people listen to us on their way to work in the morning.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I've actually had some people from high school reach out and be like, I love listening to y'all. And I was like, girl, what? You forget that people in your real life can like see the things that you post or share or talk about. I don't know why it's so
I feel like I do it with anybody.
horrible.
Like when they were like, I loved Ben's episode. I'm like, you actually listened? Like I forget that I do listen every day. But,
I know.
Oh, goodness, you guys. So today we have a very special guest.
Yes.
We have Nadia. Nadia, say hello.
Hello, hello.
So Nadia, I've known her for a few years now. She's actually like our photographer. It started that way, at least, since Bear was like 12 months old, I believe. So welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited, but nervous.
Yeah.
So today's episode, we'll have a trigger warning. You probably heard that at the beginning of the episode. Nadia is a mom of how many children?
I have 3 children here and then 1 in heaven.
1 in heaven. Can you tell us about your kids, all of them?
I have a 15-year-old who is taller than me. He looks like he's like 20 years old, but he's 15. I have a 8-year-old about to be 9. I think I had her when I met you guys.
Yeah.
And then I have a very energetic 4-year-old. He keeps me on my feet for
Big
real.
age gaps.
Yeah.
And then your baby who's in heaven, what is their name?
Her name is Amari Luna, but she's known as Baby Moon, and she would have been 5 right now.
Baby Moon. So you would have one in between your daughter and your son.
Yes, so if she would have made it, I don't think I would have had Luca, which is crazy to even think about because
Luca is
he's just so special, but yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm excited for her to share. So today's episode, we will talk about child loss. She is willing to share her story. I know a lot of moms go through that. People have miscarriages. It's like 1 in 8 women have a miscarriage. And some are early on, some are late on. And you're willing to talk with us about that?
Correct.
Alrighty. So your first 2 pregnancies, they went well?
Yeah, Aiden, he actually made it past like the 40 weeks. So I had to get induced with him, but I never got induced because I went into labor before I even checked in. So that was really weird. With Nadia, I did get induced because her doctor didn't want to work on or be on call for Thanksgiving. So she came planned.
Love that.
And yeah, I thought I was actually done after Adi because she was too much. You know, the second child is like crazy. And
Amen.
I'm just like, yeah, I think we're good. And then my mother-in-law would be like, no, you're going to have another one. Like, I know you're going to want to have another one. And she was right. Like, I was like, oh my God, I have baby fever. Like, it's not going away. I got my IUD taken out. We like tried for like 2 or 3 months. And then before Christmas that year, 2018, yes, I found out I was pregnant. And everything was normal. And yeah, one day I went to my 20-week checkup. Everything was fine. And I believe it was like 25 weeks. And yeah.
It was like was it a scan or was it just a regular appointment?
No, it was a regular appointment for my 20-week checkup.
Okay.
And then it was that weekend of Easter. I remember we had Easter Sunday, and then Monday I had the Doppler. So I would always check.
Me too.
But it was so weird. So I am like, I do believe in God. So my first and second, like I never even thought or heard of like the Doppler. And I'm like, I know that the doctor has it. So, I mean, why would I need it, right? And then for some reason, I felt like a big obsession of having a Doppler whenever I was pregnant with Baby Moon. And if it wouldn't have been for the Doppler, I don't think I would have ever known that there was like a problem.
So you found out?
I did find out because I checked the heartbeat at home and it just didn't sound right. So that was like that Monday after Easter that year. And I went to the hospital that Wednesday because I'm like, I don't feel her moving anymore. I just don't feel like something is right. And honestly, I didn't think that they were going to tell me that they didn't find a heartbeat because I'm like, I hear the heartbeat, but it turned out that it was my heartbeat, like not hers.
Wow. Man, your heart must have sank.
Yeah, it was really one of those like scenes in the movie where everything is just like still, and like you just hear like, and I was like, but what do you mean?
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm sorry, like your baby didn't make like, she's not alive. And I was just like, what is going on?
I always wonder how that conversation goes, because that's got to be like a shock for everybody, for them to have to tell you, you know, your baby doesn't have a heartbeat, especially that far along. You were a full showing pregnant mom.
Yeah, like we were getting baby shower gifts already.
Yeah. Oh my. So after that happened, was it pretty quick? So like you left?
Pretty much. So I had to call my mom and I was like, hey, I had Nadia at the time and my husband was at work. So I'm like, hey, something's like not right. So I'm going to go to the doctor. And
you still weren't saying it. You weren't like, my baby's not here.
No, this was before I even found out. But whenever I got there, I called my mom. She had called my brother to come to the hospital just to watch Adi. And this was like before I even know anything. They did some sonograms. They did like the heart monitor stuff. And I remember just laying there and I'm like, okay, you know, I was preparing myself to have a preemie.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was preparing myself for. So she's doing the sonogram and I'm just like praying. I was like, okay, it's going to be fine. Like we're going to have the baby. She's going to be tiny, but like we're going to be in the hospital for like a couple months.
Yeah.
I never thought like she didn't make it. So the first person that knew was my brother. Like I just like fell on him. And he was young, like he's younger than me. So that was like really hard. And then my mom came and she found out.
It's okay. Take it away.
Yeah, you can take your time.
My eye's about to drain too.
But I think the hardest thing was like everybody was calling Junior and like telling him that he needed to come. And I think that that's what scared me the most was like him having to walk in and like me tell him. Mm-hmm. Because at that moment I felt like it was my fault. Mm-hmm. So that was really hard for me.
So when they called him, they were just telling him you need to get to the hospital. So he didn't know at the point. He knew something was wrong.
Thank you. Yeah, he knew something was wrong. Like we've talked about it after and he's like, I just knew. He's like, I knew something was wrong because like why were they telling me to hurry up?
Yeah. And it's so hard that like you automatically had guilt to like tell your husband, you know, the baby.
And I don't even think I told him. Like I remember he came into the room and I just like shook my head and I started crying.
I can't even say it.
Yeah.
Like how is this real right now?
Yeah. And then they had told me that I had to call my doctor because I wasn't at the correct hospital where I was going to be delivering at. And then I had to call him and like tell him what happened. They didn't want me to go to the hospital until the next day, but my mom was like very hesitant that they'd get me like right away. Mm-hmm. And I remember we went home, I fell asleep, or I tried to fall asleep. And I just remember like thinking it was just a dream. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
So they sent you home?
They sent me home, yeah.
That's wild.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Did you even sleep? Like,
no.
I can't even.
Well, this was
imagine
at this point, I think it was like maybe 2 p.m. because I went to the hospital at like 10 a.m. Right after I took the kid, Aiden, to school. So they sent me home and my mom was just calling my nurse because at the time I was like friends with my OBG's like nurse. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she was just like, you need to go in. Like, I don't care what they say. Like, I know you're going through this. She's like, but you're my daughter. Like, I don't want you to have like an infection or like, we don't know how long she's like been passed away inside of you. And I mean, I know my mom did it because like she cares about me, but then it was me like, I don't want her to come out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that like feeling of like, is this real? Like you were probably sitting at home.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't imagine that feeling with your husband. And then, you know, tomorrow you have to go in there. That has to be a surreal feeling, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, were you always thinking like, no, this isn't real? Like all the way
it's not.
Like,
even when we were at the hospital, there would be moments where I would fall asleep and I would wake up and I'm just like in the hospital. So they were actually took us in at 7 p.m. that night.
Okay.
And I got induced. And yeah, it was
And it's just you and your husband there?
Yeah, and then my mother-in-law and my mother came that morning, and I swear they said goodbye because we thought we were going to be there for a while. And as soon as they walked out, maybe like 2 minutes later, I had Junior like go outside to grab them, and she like came.
Wow. Until you delivered vaginally. What was that experience like for you?
Horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible because I knew, I mean, it was horrible for me because it was a different birth experience. And then I know that my heart broke because like Junior saw it. So like that was different from Adi's birth. And I don't know, it was like I delivered all the babies there, including Luca. So even when I gave birth to Luca, like all of that stuff was like very triggering for me.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Was the team comforting to you?
They were.
During that time?
Yeah, they were. I just like, even though it was such a sucky experience, like I'm so glad that
I always wondered because
people took care of
when
me.
When you go to have a baby, all the nurses and the doctors are excited for you and talking to you as like you're a mom.
Yeah, prepping you through
Was the
it.
vibe just way different?
It
like
was
calm?
It was. It was very calm. You could tell that they were sad.
Yeah. They were sad to do that too. Man.
Oh, I'm sure that's like one of the hardest days of work for them too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure it's hard for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you went through that.
And a lot of just all of our listeners are moms.
Yeah.
And they've had, or a lot of them have had a miscarriage but yours was a late term. So it was considered a stillbirth, right?
Yes, she was a stillbirth because of her weight. I mean, she weighed a pound and an ounce, but I think it was because that I was 25 weeks. They considered it a stillbirth.
So you delivered her, and was it the same procedure as when you have a healthy baby? Like they took care of her, or did they hand her to you right away?
They did take her away, and like they wrapped her up in this like special blanket that I guess they have, or like other moms that went through the same thing, they give donations and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we got to hold her and meet her, and again, even though it was such a sad experience, I am so thankful that we still got to spend that time with her.
And how long was it?
Honestly, I think it was maybe like 2 hours.
Wow.
Because since she had, from what the doctor told us, she had already passed for a while, like a couple of days. So whenever we got to spend time with her, you could tell that her like skin was like not okay. Like it was peeling. So then that's one of the signs that they have that she's been without like blood flow and stuff. Yeah.
So for those 2 hours, did you feel like you never wanted to let go? Like
I didn't. And I know this sounds like so weird, and it's going to sound so weird to a lot of people, but at that time, like in that second, I wanted to just keep her in like those jars. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Just like keep
take her home with you.
yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what she looks like. Like, I don't care.
That's your baby.
Yeah. But we did have to give her back, and that was one of the hardest things to do, was because like the more time that she spent with us, you can tell that her like little body was just like turning colors, like her body was like sinking in. It was very, very sad. But again, now I'm just like very, very happy that we got to spend that time. Like we got to kiss her, like kiss her little toes, and yeah.
And is there ever a reason this happens? Like, did they tell you?
They told us that we could have spent the money to do like a autopsy.
Okay.
But then we wouldn't have gotten an answer.
Right.
So it could have been like, we get the answer, we don't get the answer. My doctor said that because all the labs and everything was fine with me and with my prior pregnancies, like my other 2 kids, that he just believes it was one of those things where like it just sucks. Like it's a...
Yeah. It's like one of those answers you don't want to hear. Like it just happens.
Yeah.
It seems like it doesn't change anything. So
That's heartbreaking to hear, but you're like, I want a reason. Like I know I want a reason. Like, what do you mean? Like I'm healthy, you know? But but that's.
I don't think I would.
Yeah, I guess there's two types of people. Would you want to know or would you not want to know?
I think it would haunt me to know.
I mean, because the only thing they really told me was like maybe the umbilical cord like had a knot, but whenever she was born, there wasn't a knot. Yeah. And at that time, I had been a vegan for like a year, so it was the only thing that I did different than my other pregnancies. So I like blamed that.
Right.
But then he was like, no, it's not that. You know, other cultures, they don't eat meat, they don't do stuff.
Yeah.
And like they have healthy babies, so like it just is one of those situations that like just sucks. And I'm like,
but in that moment, you were probably blaming yourself as.
Oh, I blame myself.
Everything.
Yeah. Everything. That I dyed my hair, that I laid down to get eyelashes around that time.
You were trying to think of any little thing.
Yeah.
Could have. It wasn't your fault.
I know.
Not at all.
Now it's been a few years.
Yes.
Do you still have that guilt, or do you feel like you've overcome that?
I don't think it's my fault, but I still wonder like if I did something wrong. Mm-hmm. There's like times where like grief just comes and attacks me, and I'll just like dwell on
How do you
thoughts.
cope with that?
I don't know. I just cry.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is how you cope.
Yeah.
That's at least releasing it.
I cry, and I'm lucky to have so many like followers or like clients that went through the similar thing. Mm-hmm. And I know that they'll be there for me if I just like send them a message. I'm like, I am going through this like right now.
And during that time, I had followed you on social media, and you shared a lot. And I don't know how you did that. So like you recorded while you were there giving birth to baby Moon. Mm-hmm. And to me, that was really bold of you, because that's such an intimate moment that you invited people into. And like you still share to this day, you know, of your guys's, when you guys were in the hospital holding each other. And it's beautiful, but it's also hard to see. Like, especially because I know you, like seeing a friend go through losing a baby, at any, you know, stage. But something that you guys did though, was get a cuddle cot.
Yes.
That's what it's called. Can you explain that?
So when we were at the hospital, and then we realized that we didn't have enough time with her because of like her body just going through the process, and it was like very, very heartbreaking for me. I guess maybe like sharing my story, social media gives you like the algorithm, right, of other people's like stories and stuff.
Yeah.
So I learned about a mother, I think she was like in Australia or something, that she had donated a cuddle cot over there. And I'm like, I would love to do that to the hospital where I gave birth to her, because they didn't have one.
Yeah. And what is it?
It's like, to I guess break it down simpler, it's pretty much like a refrigerated bassinet.
Okay.
So it's like a blanket that'll keep the baby's body just
colder for longer, so you can spend more time with her.
Okay. Or them.
And so you raised money for that.
We did. I say we because it was me and just like a lot of other families and vendors from like the Metroplex. We all came together and they helped me. They donated some other services like crafts, anything really. And we ended up having a shootout. That's like when photographers like shoot, you know, for like a cause, not an actual shoot. I had to look at me. And yeah, it was me and two of my other friends, and people just came and like donated. And it's so sad because a cuddle cot was only like $4,000. So the fact that hospitals don't have them blows my mind.
That is. They should all have them.
Yes.
Man. And now that hospital does have one. And
yes.
It's in honor of your baby.
I know. And sadly, I don't know if it's been used more than once, but they were able to let me know the first time that it was used. And I know it was like so sad, and I could just think about like what that family was going through. But in a way, I was like happy because I know that they were going to get more time.
Yeah.
Like time that we didn't get.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And it was during COVID.
What a gift, though, to give to a mom that's mourning. Like another mom who lost a baby, giving this opportunity to have longer, because I couldn't imagine letting my baby go.
No.
So what happens after? So like you had baby Moon, you spent your 2 hours together, and then you leave? They just sent you on your way.
Yeah, with a little box of like pictures of her, the blanket she was wrapped in, the little beanie.
So all within like 24 hours, you had your baby.
You're
and went
just
home.
walking out with the box.
Do they give you any sort of like therapy resources? Or anything like
Yeah,
that?
they gave us some packages of like grief counseling and
She's
Like
like what she's
super
like.
generic packets.
Yeah.
But no one like comes in and it's like, let me
but
set you up.
honestly, and again, to me this was just all God. So the elevators wasn't like they weren't working for some reason. So they put us in the elevator that all the like nurses go in or the doctors, and I'm just there like sitting in my wheelchair I'm like, wow, like this is really my life. Like I'm just going to go home and I don't have a baby. And I can feel a nurse just like staring down at me. And I'm just like, okay. I'm like, is she judging me right now? Like, does she know what this box is? So I'm being pushed out. Like, we're waiting for the car to come around. And she was like, hey, she's like, I'm so sorry that I have to ask you this. She's like, but did you just lose a baby? And I told her yes. And she had gone through the same thing. So she like knew what that box was.
Yeah.
So she sent the person, like we talked and she like held my hand and we cried together. And then she sent the person that was like pushing me in the wheelchair to go to the gift shop and like buy me a bear. And I still have that bear. And then she's like, I think the hospital should give you a bear instead of this like empty box of like promises and like hopes of your baby. That way, like, you can hold on to something.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have that bear still.
Oh, I just got the
Beautiful.
chills. What a nice thing, and so great that you got to meet her as you were leaving.
Yeah.
It's almost like she knew, or you knew she needed to be there.
Divine timing.
Because I'm
It
just
is.
like, why am I in this elevator? Like, I've never been on this elevator before.
Yeah.
So I think it was just like perfect timing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So then
No.
you chose to have another baby after that. How hard was that pregnancy after loss?
Oh my goodness. I was scared every single day. And I didn't choose to, honestly. So again, I believe in God. So I don't like to push that on anyone. But I think everything that happened, it was just like a sign and a sign and a sign, or like the perfect timing. So baby Moon was born on April 25th. She wasn't supposed to be born, or her due date was August 27th. I didn't want to have a baby because obviously like I just went through this like horrible situation. But there was also a blood test that I wanted to get done to see if that was the reason why we lost her. But the doctor told me that I had to have like my menstrual cycle, normal menstrual cycle, because like, again, I gave birth. So like, I was, so I had my menstrual cycle and I was supposed to go in to see him in August. Well, 4 days before her due date, we found out that we're pregnant with Luca.
Wow.
And I'm just like, what is happening?
Right.
Wow.
Like, we're not even supposed to be pregnant because I'm supposed to go get this test done.
Yeah.
And then they give me the due date for him, which was April 27th.
Wow.
So
So
close.
2 days after her birthday.
Wow.
When you have that positive pregnancy test, does your mind immediately get excited? Or is there that kind of looming
It
fear?
used to be excitement. I think with Luca, it was more just like,
Scary.
I'm going to lose him.
Everything you did, you probably analyzed.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I can't walk this way. I can't do the laundry. I can't reach. And like, it was just a very, I told myself, like, I need to enjoy this baby every single day, no matter what. I need to capture all the pictures, like, because looking back, I didn't do that with Luna.
Yeah.
It's your third
And I regret
pregnancy
it.
by then. You're like
Yeah.
exhausted.
I was so exhausted.
You do so much more in that
Yeah.
first pregnancy whenever it's new and it's exciting, and it
Yeah.
seems like every child you do a little bit less and
Yeah.
less and less.
And you've delivered 2 healthy babies, you had these great pregnancies, so you're not thinking like I need to be capturing this.
Yeah.
So then by your 4th baby, now you're like, oh, I have to appreciate this, and then you're having anxiety.
Your feelings are so valid.
Oh yeah.
Though, and the way that you process that whole thing is so valid.
Oh, yeah.
I think so many moms who have had loss and then get pregnant afterwards, it consumes them the entire time. It consumes them.
It really does.
It's a big fear.
And then you had a baby literally, I mean, you got pregnant so fast. I can't
I
imagine. You
know.
were still mourning baby Moon.
I was. And like, honestly, I thought whenever I shared my story, like, not that it mattered that people were going to judge me, but there was always that like thought running through my mind, like, oh, y'all are trying to replace her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but we're not. Like, nothing that I do is going to bring her back. And like, I have to live with that
What a
reminder.
horrible thing.
I know.
If anybody would ever say that.
People love to judge
What
a
in the
life they've never lived.
Oh, girl, tell me about it.
Oh, so something that I had been acquaintances with you at that time. You had given birth to baby Moon, and I had taken a foster placement in my first ever newborn baby. And you were grieving, and you messaged me, and you gave me all of your diapers and baby wipes. And I still remember pulling up to your house with my newborn baby. And at that time, it wasn't registering to me like she just lost a baby girl. And here I am pulling up with a baby girl. And like you looked at her, and I remember like getting all the diapers from you, and you were just so happy and kind. And I remember leaving thinking, I just took all of these diapers for a baby that didn't make it. And it made me appreciate being a mom a lot more, because I thought, here I am taking care of somebody else's baby that didn't get to keep her baby either. And this mom who lost her child just gave me, and you kept offering like, do you need anything else? I'm just getting rid of everything.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine doing that. And at the time I didn't tell you, but it touched me so much because I was having a hard time with a newborn baby, and you didn't have one.
Yeah.
And you offered, to give me things. And so like that was so huge. And I'll never forget that. And so I just had to tell you that because I couldn't imagine. And it had only been probably a month after.
I think it was,
And
yeah.
you were like, I'm just getting rid of it.
Did it feel easier to just like get it out of here?
It did, just because I knew that other moms would be able to use it. So I did keep some stuff just for memories. And then this was even before I knew that I was going to end up being pregnant again. But
Right.
I mean, some stuff we did use for Luca.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
How did you explain that loss to your 2 older children?
Oh my God, girl. Okay, I'm going to cry for real.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
So Aiden was 8 at the time. He actually ended up coming to the hospital, but he didn't get to see her because we had already like given her back, I guess. And I don't think that I would have wanted him to see her.
Right.
But we cried, like he understood like how an 8-year-old would understand.
Right.
So this was on a Thursday, and then on Friday we ended up going home. My mom went with us, and she brought Adi along. I remember being in Aiden's room, and Adi like walks in, and we're just like talking, trying to pretend like nothing is really wrong. But she's on the floor, and I'm like standing up, and then she just like looks up, and then she's like, "Where's your baby?" And I'm like, I look at my mom and I look at Junior, and I'm just like, oh my God. And then like Aiden's looking at me, and I was like, I'm like, well, we have to talk to you about something, baby. And then she's like, but where's your baby? And then she's just like trying to pull my shirt up.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I was like, well, baby Moon had to go with Diosito, like with God. And then she was like, but I want my baby. And I'm like, I know, baby, but Diosito like wanted your baby sister, and he's gonna like take care of her. And then she screams, and like this scream broke me. Like, I feel like everything just sucked. Everything was a heartbreak, but then it was just like heartbreak, 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 heartbreak. And then she's like, but I want my baby. And at that moment, I dropped to the floor. My mom holds Aiden, and Aiden's like crying. My mom's crying. And I just don't know what to do, because now I'm brought to the hospital room where I had to not only break Junior's heart and tell him that we lost the baby, but now I'm like, it's my fault that my daughter's crying and heartbroken, and I don't have a baby to give them. So that was very, very hard. And it's like, how do you teach your kids to grieve when you don't even know how to grieve?
Yeah.
Right.
So it was very hard, and I had a lot of support. And I think that's why I shared so much on social media, because like I didn't know what to do. And people, I till this day talking about like people being judgmental, like I heard from others that people were just like, oh, she just wants attention, or why is she sharing? You know, those people are like, why would you get on social media and cry?
We
like,
get it. We
Absolutely.
get it.
Trust me, I
We
get
know.
it.
I'm like,
personally.
because do y'all know how many mothers came
Exactly.
to me and shared their
Exactly.
devastating stories? How many mothers shared to me that they had to grieve
And it helps you.
in silence?
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, I'm a Leo. Like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel
Yeah.
and what my feelings are, because those are my feelings.
Yeah. That's why I tell people it takes a big person to share being vulnerable, because other people need to see it.
Yeah.
When I had a hard time, I looked for those moms. When I was going through them, I looked for them. So for you to share, yeah, maybe everybody didn't understand it. I would never do that. But then there's other people who needed it.
Yeah.
And you find a community
You
when you
do,
do share
yes.
people who understand.
Oh my God, I love my community.
Yeah,
Or
that
share with
support
you
is
their story.
priceless.
Like you're not alone.
Yeah.
I have some of the best friendships right now because I shared my story.
Yes.
Like, we cry
It
together.
wasn't easy for you to share those things.
No, and then like, who would want attention
Right.
from losing a baby?
There's a huge difference in advocating and attention seeking, and I think that that's what people who are chronically online or are constantly looking for a reason to be offended, they really miss the mark on that. They just don't understand how somebody could need an outlet, and maybe that outlet is social media.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't feel like they have anything in their own, bubble that makes them feel the way that these strangers do, that don't have to
Yep.
know every single detail, but support you through some of the hardest things you live through. So I
There's
think
more support though.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
There
non-support,
is. And I
for
think
sure.
you do an amazing job of advocating for a community that
Yep.
is grieving for the rest of your lives.
In a
Genuinely.
quiet community, because
Yes.
nobody wants to talk about it.
No.
No,
They don't.
they really don't. And like I said, whenever I would hear these stories, she's like, oh, this happened whenever, even social media was a thing. And I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So they just cried.
Hold it in.
Yeah. And I'm like, how do you not talk about it? Like, it's just going to eat you up.
Or maybe it doesn't eat them up. Maybe that's just not how they let go.
Probably.
But then hearing from you, it's like, oh, I needed to hear that.
I mean, and it's okay. Like, I know everybody grieves differently, and there's like no right way to grieve. So yeah, like if you're more not wanting to share because those are like intimate parts of your life, then that's fine. But like,
Yeah.
this was how I grieved. This
Yep.
was the only way that I knew how to get it out. And so much that I know my mother and my husband were like hurt
Yeah.
because I didn't want to talk to them about it.
Yes, it's easier to talk to the camera.
And I was like, I
Than to a
don't want to
person.
hurt. I'm like, I don't want to hurt you. Like, I don't know how to grieve to
Oh,
you.
make you more emotional.
Yeah.
Right.
My mom still till this day, she's like, I wish you would have just cried to me and like let me hold you. But I'm just like, but I don't want you to see me like that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have helped me.
Yeah, I don't think it would have. I mean, there's times where I just wanted to go and like run into her arms and just cry, but I just couldn't.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's like I'm the oldest, and I'm like, oh, it's fine. Like,
Always
we're
the strong
fine.
sister.
I just don't think it's something
Yes.
that you have to explain. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to explain the way that you wanted to grieve, and not everyone around you is going to understand that.
Yeah,
You know, some people laugh. Some people, can just move on with their lives and grieve silently. And I think that like there's two types of people. There's the people who consume social media, and then there's us who create the content. And sometimes the people who are consuming it needed that content. They aren't able to create it or share, but you spoke exactly how they felt. So like sometimes like I'll share and they're like, wow, I didn't even know anybody else felt this way, and I didn't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
And then you did it for them.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing, because I followed and I've seen how many people that you have helped.
I was honestly so surprised.
Yeah.
I never thought that I was going to have the support. And then whenever I did the cuddle call, like
Yeah.
I was blown away by how many people cared. Like to just give money or like come together and help a mom, because I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, like you see the posts of people announce that they went through like a miscarriage but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's all right. I'm just thankful you wanted to share with us, because I feel like here in this space, we are here for all moms. And that's even if, your baby is in heaven, because you're still a mom. You don't lose your title.
Correct.
You're not one less child, you know what I mean? You still have 4 children. And so I felt like your story was important to share, because there are so many people struggling in silence with this. And so seeing you be strong, and now you have 4 babies.
Yes,
You had your
ma'am.
rainbow baby. And I'm very proud
Those
of you.
rainbow babies, man.
They're rough.
They
Mine's
are.
whooping my ass right now.
Girl, I know.
Aw.
But you know what my mom always tells me?
What?
They're like, they send them to you for a reason, and they're the reason,
Baby Moon said, I'm sending you.
and
Luca."
you're not going to be able to sit down and cry all day long because you're going to be too busy chasing after this
And then
kid.
you look at that baby, like Luca, and you're like, man, he's rough. But my goodness, he filled my life,
Oh my gosh, yes. I love him. I mean, I love all my other kids, but
Yes, of course.
there's just something special about the one that comes after so much like sadness and
Yeah.
Sure, there's just a
Heartbreak.
breath of relief.
You had another baby. I couldn't even imagine that feeling of you, every appointment, first of all, but in the hospital actually giving birth in the same hospital that you had baby Moon in. I can't even.
Was it the same team as well? Did you have any of the same nurses?
No, but looking back, so whenever we donated the cuddle cot, we had like a whole ceremony for it. And looking back at the pictures now of everybody that was there, the nurse that took care of us at the, what is it, like the room after you give birth,
Okay.
Yeah, postpartum.
she was there at the ceremony. Yeah. But it was very crazy because, again, it was April of 2020. So it was like
COVID.
during
Oh, wow.
everything.
Yeah.
And I'm back in this hospital where just
Trauma.
changed. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, is everything going to be okay? Not only birth wise, but like the whole
Yeah.
like
It was
COVID
a scary
situation.
time, for sure.
It was
Yeah.
a very
You're
weird.
probably like, you've got to be freaking kidding
you
me.
gotta be joking me.
As it's hitting the fan literally in March. I think it was like March 20th that it hit the fans. It was right before you're going to deliver.
I had just had my baby shower March 17th.
And then they shut down.
And they shut down, and then like I'm already living with trauma as it is. So much anxiety because I'm like weeks, a month away from delivering my rainbow baby after my loss. And then like boom, COVID hits. And then for some reason people think that it's okay to send me like news articles about moms
Oh, no.
like with COVID or the baby has
that
COVID.
is the
And I'm
worst
like,
thing to do.
why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
Like, why did you feel like it was okay to scare me?
Yeah. To set me up to just be in my mind and fearful for
Oh, my gosh.
that's
It was
wild.
really,
People who do that, those are not your friends.
no, this
Those
was
are
just,
not your
I will
friends.
speak
this
on
was
that.
just a follower.
Speak on that. If anybody sends you something negative talking about you or something that could affect your mental health, they are not your friend. I will stand on it, because why would you want to hurt somebody in any way? That you did not deserve that,
No.
especially during a scary time.
You better not tell Cindy who did that.
You don't tell me that. I can't.
I honestly do not remember. I'll probably have to go through like
Don't.
years of
I'll go
DMs.
search their whole, I'll go search their whole area.
Cindy will pull up their Facebook and have their full name in 30
I'll
minutes.
send their mom a message.
No
I'm not
joke.
playing.
Oh Oh my
can't
gosh.
handle that.
You are good about sending mother's messages.
Oh, I will send a message. I've done it a few times.
I know.
Cindy's the like FBI, like send the professional message type, and I'm the like snap at you in person type.
Yeah, Paige is like, let me rail them right here.
She's
in the
like,
comment section. And I'm like, you know what? I'm actually gonna go tell your boss what she said about me.
I remember the one time that you did it. You were like, hey, ma'am, I just need you to know that your son is sending people messages.
Yeah,
you
so
remember?
There was this boy in a live I was in. And he was being rude. He was calling me Miss Piggy, which whatever, bitch, I love Miss Piggy. But anyways, he followed up and came to Instagram. Messaged me.
Don't be dedicated.
His whole name's on there. If you're gonna
Don't be
bold,
dedicated.
Yeah. So and then I see who was following. Oh, his mom's on the list. Ma'am, I screenshotted it, sent it to her Instagram and her Facebook. She ends up messaging me on Facebook, embarrassed.
Of course.
And she's like, "That I'm so sorry."
Yeah, of course.
And I was so kind. I was like, "I'm just a mom, like sharing my life, and he's coming into my space."
Not once, but twice.
Twice. Followed me. He's like 16. No, he needs to grow up, and he needed a reality check. And thankfully, she agreed. Some do not. Some do not agree. But I was like, I had time today, and I don't have time all the time.
I have teenagers.
My
and if
kids
they're
are
acting
napping
like
today, so
assholes-
I got time.
I have time today. No.
If my teen is acting like that, send me the message.
That's so embarrassing.
I want to know if they're acting like
I'd
that
be
online.
embarrassed. I'd be so
Don't be like
embarrassed.
that online.
All right, Jay, you want to come on in?
You want to come on in, Jay?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Jay.
Okay. So first of all, I met Nadia through Cindy, and I freaking love Nadia. She's like, I swear, I feel like we're cousins or something. You know, we're both Mexican, and we just relate. But you know, I just think it's amazing, right, that you shared your story, and I think it's just so powerful because I think people think that it's so easy to share your life on social media, and it really is not, right? And I'm just talking about just like our normal day. Now, your story is like super powerful, and I think it's the most craziest thing I've ever heard of when you said that people were telling you that you were doing it for attention or anything like that. I think that's I mean, I just don't get it, like how people could think that, oh, sure, let me like. I don't know. I think I'm like speechless
No, I
to
agree.
think that people would think that you literally are going to do it for attention or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think that people need to understand is that there are people out in the world who don't have people to rely on. Like you mentioned, you had a really good support system. We have good support systems. There's people out there that have nobody. And so in my opinion, it's brave when you share your story because it could be that mom who doesn't have anybody at all, who is alone in the hospital or at home with their grief. And they go on here and they're like, wow. Do you know what I mean? And it resonates with them. And so that's what I think is super powerful. When people decide to share their story, I never think it's for attention. I think it's because they want to share and they're like, okay, I have a pain. Let me turn it into purpose. And I think that's amazing.
that.
So I think that it's just amazing that you did that. The other thing I was tell you, I know you shared like about your daughter, right? And did it ever come up in different ways where you had to like get counseling for them or kind of talk to them about it? Do you know what I mean?
There was multiple occasions where going to like a grief meeting, and there are a couple of ones that like happen monthly here, like locally, but I don't know.
Have they voiced that they wanted to go to one, or you don't?
No, they never voiced. We just kind of talked about it. Like I answered the
good.
questions. One of the things about my daughter is she wants you to explain it how it is.
Yeah.
So
You
like
have to.
body parts, anything, like any situation, she doesn't want you to like sugarcoat it or explain. I mean, we don't explain everything to her, like if she's an adult, but she doesn't want it explained like a little baby.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we would just talk it out. We would cry. She would ask questions like, oh, well, why did she pass? Like, why wasn't there blood flow? What happened?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just answered it the best that I knew her little mind could, because she was 4 at the time.
The reason I ask is because it's interesting because traditionally speaking, the Latino community, or I'm Mexican, so I'll talk about Mexican community, seeking therapy is for the
a
weak.
big no-no.
You're not allowed to, or not allowed, but it's not, it's very like, oh, I thought you were stronger because you're going into therapy. Like you need help. And so I think that's a very toxic thing
Maybe
to
that's
happen.
why your mom was like, I wanted you to come to me. Like, we're your family, you know? Come to me instead.
But like now that Jay is talking about that, like if we were to be like, oh, we're depressed, and they'll be like, oh, you'll get over it. Like,
You need to clean. You're bored.
Yeah, go
Start
clean
cleaning
or-
Which is not what you want to instill in your own children now.
Exactly. I mean, I think that it's important to instill into children that everybody has emotions and we have to get those out and we talk through that, right? And seeking help, in my opinion, you're stronger for trying to seek help, right? Like to recognize that you have a problem and that you are not able to work on it yourself and you need outside help. I think that that takes a lot of strength to admit that, and to go out there and go get help, I think is way more powerful. But it is very in the Latino community where if you go and need therapy, it's like,
yeah. And even to this day, whenever I hear like elders say that they suffered a miscarriage when they were younger, they say it like, oh, well,
Nonchalant,
I just
very
had a
nonchalant.
miscarriage. And I'm like, and what happened? Like, were you okay? Because they didn't have resources,
Yeah.
or they were just like, oh, well, we just lost a baby. Like, we're just gonna have another one someday. I don't know.
yeah.
And that's very
That's
sad.
heartbreaking. Yeah. That's why it takes people like you speaking about it. Like, oh no, this was traumatic to me.
There's people that also think like you shouldn't announce your pregnancy until the first trimester is over.
Yeah.
Because they think like,
It's
oh,
kind of a
it's just
miscarriage.
you could have a miscarriage, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to have a miscarriage in silence, no matter if
Yeah.
it's at 6 weeks
Yeah.
or 20 weeks. You know, I was pregnant. I want
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Like
Absolutely.
with Luca, I think I announced it at 7 weeks. Like the moment I found out I was pregnant, I'm like, I'm gonna celebrate this baby,
Yeah.
whether he makes it or not. Like I'm gonna celebrate this baby forever.
Right. Because that's still going to be your baby, whether you carry to term, miscarriage, whatever, that you're still a mother. You're still going to have
Yep.
that child. That's going to be your child. You're always going to remember them, think about them. And so,
And that's something that I did learn. Like this happened to me at 25 weeks. I can't imagine. I mean, and there's other moms where they're ready to give birth, or like they lose the baby at birth. So like I don't think that there is a safe stage.
Yeah. Man.
So I always read this quote, and I wanted to read it because I feel like if you've never had someone that has passed away, you really don't understand how grief works. Because as you go on, like you lose someone, it's crazy how life continues. Like it's crazy how something is happening, all of a sudden life continues, and you're expected to just kind of bounce back, and then it just I think it's just so wild. And as you live more on with your grief, like it hits you in random stages, right? So I'll read it to you. It says, as grief you come, you'll find it comes in waves. When the ship is first wrecked, you're drowning, the wreckage is all around you. Everything floating around you reminds you of the beauty and the magnificence of the ship, and that there's no more. All you can do is float. You find a piece of the wreckage and you hold on for a while. Maybe it's a physical thing, maybe it's a happy memory or a photograph. Maybe it's a person also floating. For a while, you can do is float and stay alive. In the beginning, the waves are 100 feet tall and crash over you without mercy. They come 10 seconds apart and give you time to catch your breath. All you can do is hang on and float, and after a while, maybe weeks, months, you'll find that the waves are 100 feet tall, but they come further apart. But when they come, they still crash all over you and they wipe you out. But in between, you can breathe and you can function. And you never know what's going to trigger the grief. It might be a song, a picture, an intersection, a smell of a cup of coffee. It can just be anything. But the wave come crashing, and in between the waves, there's life. And I swear that's how it feels to live with grief. Like I've had people that have lost in my life, and like there's a specific one that I always tell people is we had just had like a great family outing. It was all of us. We were driving, we were singing, and all of a sudden, for me, it feels like a weighted blanket is thrown on me, and you just kind of get like knocked out, but not like physically, but like spiritually, I guess. So like and then you're just like, and then I feel like the world just goes gray. Like you can see that it's sunny, but in your mind, it's like it's gray. And then all of a sudden you're just overwhelmed with all these emotions. And then in my mind, I was saying to myself, why am I about to cry? Why do I want to cry? Why do I want to do this? We just had such a great time. The kids are happy. Kyler and I are singing. And so that's why I tell people, you just never know what people are going through. And so that's why you have to always be kind, because literally like we could be having a moment and you could be triggered, and the next thing you're going like that. And that's why I'm telling people, you have to, one, be kind. You never know what people are going through. And then two, with grief, in my opinion, as a person who was told that you have to be strong and men don't cry, you have to feel those emotions, and whatever it is that's going to help you to release that is the best bet. You know, my mom has a really hard time. She does cry a lot, but I feel like she needs a little bit more. One of the things that I did when I lived in Phoenix is we did a lantern ceremony. It was in the middle of the desert. Thousands of lanterns were lifted into the sky, and we all got to write a little message. And it's like you're writing that message to heaven, and that has just been so
It is beautiful.
therapeutic
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, I can't imagine how, you know, it comes in waves for you. I know, like, even we went to the gym a few months ago.
Oh my gosh.
And
I was fine.
me and Jay, they're like, hey, let's do Zumba. And she shows up, and you can tell she's been crying, but it's not my place to be like, are you okay? And she had said, like, I almost didn't come.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that it was Baby Moon's.
Sorry, there was an inside joke about that.
Oh, and there was Baby Moon's birthday.
Yeah.
There was an inside joke about that. There was. I forgot about that.
I'm on the outside with y'all, so it's cool.
We'll explain it if Cindy wants to.
She basically said, I almost didn't come, and I thought that.
No, I said, I almost didn't come, but my husband made me come. And then Jay was like, oh.
I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Wow.
A workout before a workout.
Yes, it was a naughty one.
Y'all think I'm the naughty one. See, it's Jay.
You know what? I love that about Jay because, like, sometimes he doesn't know
No, he doesn't.
the
He just,
context of stuff. And I needed that laugh.
Oh, my
so
Lord. I feel
much
bad.
we'll be
because
so
I had
serious.
just
Yeah.
had like a grieving episode,
Yes, she did.
and I was like, I almost didn't come, but my husband made me come, and he's like, oh wow.
And so Jay had no idea
Lucky girl.
that
No,
she
I
was
did not.
grieving. And the only reason I had known is because I do really keep up with her social media, and she had posted, and I'm pretty sure it was Baby Moon's birthday or the week of.
It was about to be
Yes.
her birthday, yeah.
So she was grieving, and I could tell she was crying. Here's Jay making these jokes. And
I didn't know. I felt bad after, but, you know, sometimes a
laughed,
comedic,
though, you guys.
comedic
Loved it.
relief
I
will
had to
help.
read the room, but she laughed. So I was like, thank God. But anyways, it comes in waves like that. And so I think it's something that, I mean, I know it's something that everybody who grieves will struggle with forever. And so,
Even my kids too, they'll go years, months, and then they'll just have a really bad day. And
Yeah.
hard. We thank you for sharing with us, Nadia.
So I'm going to switch it up to Nadia. If y'all didn't know,
Yes.
she is our photographer. And, she officially is not my photographer yet that I haven't paid. But one time, Cindy paid for photography. And I just kind
cannot.
of, I was like, we're all dressed. Can I just like scooch in really quick?
she didn't pay. I gifted her
She
that.
Oh, well,
gifted
thank
So
you.
then she gifted Jay.
Who she had just met.
She is our friend now, by the way.
Yes,
She's
yes,
our
yes.
friend. She's been taking my family pictures since I think Bear's 12 months. And so I cannot do it.
Wasn't
She
it like
gifted me
when Fox
adoption.
was adopted?
Yeah,
and it
she
was like in
gifted
the
me the
field at the
adoption.
adoption.
No, literally outside of the adoption. Where were we? The courthouse.
Yeah.
Jay's in the grass in the back, and I'm like, where are you going? He goes, oh, Nadia's taking my pictures. I was like,
Those are the
what?
pictures in your entryway.
Yeah, if you go to my bio,
They're
it's one of them
beautiful.
that's
Yeah.
pinned. She's an amazing photographer. And
It was
I
a
just.
random field.
It was. And I
It
had just
was.
met
We
her
walked
literally
down
that
the
day.
parking lot, like just trying to find somewhere, and it was just like an abandoned little field.
It
And I
was
like,
beautiful,
you know
though.
what?
If y'all
I
look at
just
the
need
pictures,
grass
beautiful.
and trees, and
But she is
I can make
amazing.
it work.
She's really come a long way. Like when I first started, you had a different job. You were not a full photographer yet. You did it on like the side, I think.
oh yeah, I didn't do it full time.
And then you became one. And so the pictures, that you've seen recently from me and from Paige, they are all from. Actually, all mine are from Nadia. So if you guys are in the area, DFW, she
Yes.
is here. We'll put her stuff down below.
Yeah.
And
I
she
will
makes
say,
funny
especially
TikToks too.
As an autism mom, that's such a hard thing to
Yes.
find, is somebody that will work with your children and their mood swings and how they're feeling. And I've got two, so getting them both to smile and look in the right direction,
Oh,
and
they
even to
turned
want
out-
to participate
They
is
turned out
difficult.
so beautiful.
So she does a great job with that as well.
Yeah.
making it
I
playful.
had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that moms, because even me with my little one, I'm like, oh my God, people think that just because I'm a photographer, my kids are just these like amazing kids. They're amazing. But like when it comes time to pictures, that they're just
Right.
going to listen and look at the
Yeah.
camera. And I'm
They're
like,
kids.
no.
I would probably think that a photographer that has children would probably be a little bit more understanding and patient and all of that
Yes.
than a photographer who might not have children and not might be
No,
as
she makes it
patient
so
or something,
playful.
you know?
Or like at some point you don't even know she's taking pictures of
Oh
your
yeah,
family.
I'm not that candid. If people are like, "Oh, my kids don't really listen," I'm like, that's great because they don't have to like.
Just laugh with them.
I'm
Play.
like, I'm just there.
Yeah.
I
and
told Mark
following
to
them
tackle me randomly.
Oh yeah.
She was like, "Hey, do you want to tackle her?" And I was like, "No."
Be like, hug her, hug her.
Yeah, go hug her.
Oh my gosh, I wanna get your permission about sharing these pictures of Mark because at one point he just starts to twirl in the field,
He's like, "Could you
Mark,
take my
everybody.
photo?"
and literally all I can think of. She was a fan.
She was a fan.
He's just like twirling and like keeping eye contact with me and just like twirling and just like
Yeah.
he like
That
lets
is
his shirt
hilarious.
go.
We need
change
to post
it.
that.
Yeah, you need to post that. What do you mean?
Insert the clip
last-
right here.
Yeah,
Probably
the
waiting
last
for her
time we had
pictures still.
pictures, he went and got my cat and just wanted a couple photos with the cat.
This is Mark. You
This
guys.
is Mark. So
Can I take pictures with the cat?
No,
That'd be
literally.
so cool.
he was like, "I have to have these photos," but he threw an absolute
showed them to
fit.
me.
Yes, he did. He was like, "Look at these. Oh, I just wish Binksy was here." I was like, "Mark."
Mark has the best ideas, you guys. Paige. She's like,
I'd be shutting him down.
no. He literally shows me the other day a whole TikTok video that he came up with creative control. And he's like, I can't post it. I'm like, you need to post that now.
It's in my drafts. You probably have seen
She
it
should
by
post
now.
it.
She needs to
was
post
the
it.
Dad Olympics video.
It is so funny.
Listen, it's just he's my husband. So whenever I watch him do things, I'm like, honey, what are we doing? Y'all think he's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. 'Cause
we only
I
see him
am
for, like, a couple hours.
overstimulated.
Yeah, so I was just like having
It's hilarious.
a
You need
great
to.
time watching him and just like snapping away and pictures just like, oh my
Yeah.
Like, here we go. Here we go again.
Jay, you have
No,
anything
but
else?
that's all I have. But thank you so much for sharing,
You're
and
welcome. Thank you for
you're so
listening.
amazing.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Alrighty, Jay.
god.
Nadia, thank you.
Thank you so
much for sharing. I know it's a difficult story to recall, but thank you for
Yeah.
offering us that in this space today.
And having me.
Of
Oh, of
course.
course.
We loved it.
We love you. We love you.
And as always, guys, keep the giggles flowing.
Oh, and the love going. What, girl? What did you just say?
I'm feeling emotional. I'm sorry, you guys. Keep the giggles going.
And the love flowing.
And until next time,
Mom knows best.
Or she's trying her best.
She is trying her
yes.
best.
Thank you, Nadia.
Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
guys.
Bye, guys.